Training Day Let's Play. This is the 21st episode. We're 21! Yay! That's supposed to mean something. But we are on our way to find the Crypt of Lady Comstock, and this is going to be a very long episode, because basically it's a 45-minute boss fight. Remember when boss fights were 45 minutes long? It wasn't fun then either! No, but really, this is kind of the most self-wanking boss fight ever, in that not only is it a very extended boss fight, but it is also a 3-part fetch quest. So it's pretty much just line of the draw for the standard Bioshock tropes. On top of the 3-part fetch quest, it is also a 3-part lore-based fetch quest. Because why not? So let's set this up. This is like the
your mother's
most BS stuff since like side quest, main quest shenanigans.
She's your mother.
A mother who abandons their child doesn't draw a lot of sympathy in my book.
Oh snap!
Take a moment to think about what you're doing.
There.
Don't take a moment. Just take the hand. Run.
Go in without you?
But this is like the most wankingest side quest, main quest BS since Wind Waker, when you had to give Tingle rupees every time you wanted a piece of the Triforce.
It's her. How are you, Mother? All locked up in there, huh? Looks like you and I have some common ground.
Let me do it.
No.
Let me do it.
More Disney imagery. Like straight out of Disney. Besides Elizabeth's existence, this entire place, all of that.
Look on the other side.
There we go. Thanks, Elizabeth! Looking on the other side of the coffin.
You see, child, you chose to follow a false shepherd, and he has led you astray. What I do for love. What lion does not cringe to see their coven pain, but spare the rod, spoil the child. If you won't listen to me, perhaps you will listen to your mother.
Elizabeth, are you all right?
Where did she go?
Hold on, you need to rest for a minute.
No, I'm getting that hand.
Elizabeth, why is your mother a ghost?
She's not. He used me to power that device. He opened up some kind of tear.
A tear to an alternate dimension in which your mother's a ghost? That's okay. That'll never make sense. Or it will, and that makes it better. Or does it? Anyway, here's our introduction to the boss fight. You ever play Michael Jackson's Moonwalker? Because it's pretty much exactly like that. Oh, Booker, stop being such a baby about it. Anyway, while we take care of this boss fight multiple times, there'll be quite a few interruptions for story, because a lot of stuff's going to happen. But that's okay, and there's other things like, this is one of the few places in Bioshock that you have to wander around a whole bunch, and so this is actually going to be the only episode, hopefully the only episode, where there'll be some like serious editing to not waste people's time while I get lost. Besides in the last episode, I was that too. You know what? Fuck it. Doesn't matter. Anyways, we're trying to take care of all of the minions as they are being respawned, because every time she is in her kind of spectral form, you can't hit her. When she's in her solid form, you can. It's basic boss mechanics 101. Meanwhile, while I am interrupted, I have another critique, another thing to explore, another idea, and this actually comes from an anecdote to start with. My grandfather, he would take me to the buffet when I was young, where I would always eat way too much food and get myself sick. He'd laugh and he'd tell me, "Your eyes are bigger than your stomach." He was right. I'd get so excited looking at all the different buffet options that I try to get as much as I can at
What am
first.
I?
And excited by looking at it all.
Source of my power?
But what is she? Alive or dead?
Why do you ask what?
When the delicious question is when.
Booker's asking
The only
questions
difference
again.
between past and present
Is semantics.
lives, lived, will live.
Dies, died, will die.
If we could perceive time as it truly was,
What reason would grammar professors have to get out of bed?
like us all, Lady Comstock exists across time.
She's both alive and dead.
She perceives being both.
She finds this condition disagreeable.
Perception without comprehension.
It's a dangerous combination.
Look! Footsteps.
She goes to unfinished business.
We have to follow her. Convince her to open the gate to Comstock House.
And they're gone. So, in case it wasn't fully aware, we are not only dealing with space, but also time. And time can be all at once, or not at all, or anything in between. And so, that'll be, yeah, makes for interesting pieces to the story of the game, and also makes for very easy ways to clean up plot holes. So they're going to use time magic a lot to explain everything.
It's a shame you have need of her to enter Comstock House.
Frankly, she doesn't seem all that cooperative.
There is a way to bring her to reason.
3 truths you must discover first.
Truths which, in this world, Comstock has destroyed.
If only one of you had the power to alter time and space.
That would be a blessing, wouldn't it?
When did they lightning
More
her?
sarcastic.
There's something off about Lady Comstock.
Yeah, I noticed.
Something about her
you
being
don't
dead and all?
understand. She doesn't belong here. I brought something through. I'm not so sure it was her.
Oh god, they're gonna complicate her identity in some different ways. So, yeah, basically we're gonna have to find the 3 tears, and that's the whole shindig. While fighting her a whole bunch. So my grandpa would tell me, hey, your eyes are bigger than your stomach, as a way to say, basically when I'd look at all these different buffet options, I'd get so excited and I'd try to get as much as I can at first, and then by the end I'd realize that there's no way I could try everything. And so I'd put as many different bits of food on my plate and then make ice cream sundaes with every topping I could find, and I just wanted it all. I wanted everything. And it was wonderful. It was a cavalcade of gluttony. It didn't even matter how much food I was leaving out unfinished because I could have it all.
Booker, catch!
Then I would get sick and I would purge all night. And it was never worth it. I'd go to bed hungry, and in the end it would always sour the rest of the experience of what was at one point a great meal.
Now.
You bet!
So that story is my way of kind of understanding what happened in Bioshock Infinite, where the game has attempted to explore themes of race, class, identity, freedom, control, consciousness, reality, retribution, comeuppance, being haunted by your past, manifest destiny, American exceptionalism, white supremacy, secessionism, religious conflict, and parental care, all using only the narrative, setting, and characters of an 8-hour video game, since the mechanics have nothing to back these themes up. So that's a tall order, not unreasonable, because Bioshock the First did just as much, with even more theoretical and nuanced philosophies. Ayn Rand's philosophies and transhumanism are a little more subtle than the choice of throwing a baseball at a tied-up black Jesus Gandhi or at Mecha Hitler. You know, your choice. Throw the baseball at either one, but it's not really a choice, is it? Unfortunately, as a AAA video game with this much emphasis and work, the expectation is that once your game sits down at the dinner table, it is going to eat all of the food that it says it's going to. And that isn't what happened here.
All done.
Instead,
Tear.
we have some very loose plot threads that are tied up by magic tears as the game realizes where it's at.
But you two are dead. I took your funeral photo.
Yes, and made an absolute hash of it.
One doesn't expect a picture of one's cause
To come across so lifelessly.
Burned.
What did you mean before when you said Lady Comstock didn't belong here?
She's almost feral. It's like she's a reflection of... I don't know.
I like how she says, I don't know, but she totally knows.
7 days.
Part of the not so great writing
That's
sections.
insanity. What proof would you have that Mr. Fink would hurt the Luteces?
The Luteces told me.
The Luteces? When?
Yesterday morning.
Rupert, they've been dead these 7 days.
How is he recording this conversation? Is he like spying on, or she is spying on him or something? Who's making all these phonographs? And that was when I looted the photographer and left. So I think that's one of the tears. Not too hard. Now I follow the ghostly footprints.
What a waste. Is the city going to be this?
Maybe it shouldn't.
Oh,
Sniper, be
snipers.
careful!
Do it!
There!
Oh, Elizabeth, asking such silly questions.
All right!
Wow, they used the tears to give me a sniper rifle instead of just having it on the ground or something. It's nice. So,
On it!
within this game, we have a lot of loose plot threads that are being tied up by magic tears as the game realizes that it does have to end in some sort of coherent and complete way. Themes are then often thrown completely by the wayside once started, as the game tries to sample as many different themes as possible, finishing almost none of them. The Elizabeth is free, and then she's arbitrarily captive for 60 time years. Booker is outside of a revolution, then leading a revolution, and he is suddenly unanimously attacked by said revolution. Comstock is a cult icon, a folk hero, and a world ruler. Then he is a man, and then he's forgotten as inconsequential. Are you kind of, you're seeing how just by these slight character changes that themes are tossed around haphazardly without really realizing what those consequences are? It becomes so chaotically constructed that even once these events are explained by some sort of plot device, they still lose the meaning and intentionality of the narrative in the game as a whole. It doesn't work right.
Open it.
There you go.
In many games, this wouldn't be a problem. This is actually happens all the time. But many games are crap, and Bioshock isn't trying to be just any game. It's been trying to be more than that from the get-go. The biggest loss is that we've had a hard-working game that started out trying to explore racism and classism in Bioshock 2. So it started exploring racism and classism, and then it becomes racist and classist itself. It's like, wait, what? Once the writers decide they want to legitimize the oppressor's motives, it's like, that's really messed up. They put 4 guys all in a row for me. That wasn't fair at all. Oh, more murders of crows hanging around. I wish these bad guys were something special now, but they're so... I mean, obviously they have a encounter going on right here where there's just 2 of them standing next to each other. It just doesn't look special. It's been a long time since we first had the lore where they were supposed to be like, oh, the crow dining table room of awesomeness. That was probably one of the coolest scenes in the game, but it came so early and just nothing followed up on it. You don't get to hear anything more about the murder of crows people But they're also, between them, the firemen, and everything else, basically
Need
we're just
money?
killing everyone now. Which is a shame. Uh-oh. Ghosty stuff's happening.
Catch!
That's not what I wanted. But I appreciate it. On to the next area. So, in many games, having, like, discongruent plot and not focusing on the themes of your game are totally fine, and it happens all of the time. For worse or for worse, almost always for worse. But in Bioshock world, the white people were totally right to lynch and murder and oppress foreign people, because this, what you're seeing here, is what happens when the oppressed take over. So they were completely legitimized. We've seen scalping and murders and looting and lynch and all of that stuff, despite that they spent major parts of the first act trying to show how systematically indoctrinated minorities are. We had the boardwalk scenes where they were like, they had these beautiful scenes where they're just like, we don't have anything. And we're not expected to ever have anything. Wow, what a beautiful vault. Just kind of sitting in this giant room. What's behind the door? More murders, more crows. So, sometimes when I would gorge myself, I'd purge graciously in a bathroom. Other times it wouldn't be so gracious where my leavings landed. I mean, I was a kid, and Bioshock, in this case, purges, and depending on your point of view, you might feel it has a certain amount of grace to it. I don't, but nonetheless, it purges all of its themes like a bad buffet by the end of this game. And then the game goes home, empty and unsatisfied with itself. And we, the players, have to go to bed hungry. But, on the other hand, we have our second tear. We can hopefully learn a new tidbit to the world around us. Or more, just another explanation of why all this timey-wimey stuff works. Which is probably what will happen.
And if I do this sabotage, all their patents, all of them, Mr. Fink. Now, why does the Prophet want these two killed?
For the same reason Lady Comstock lies buried. Child.
And why does he want me to do it?
Because only you can make it seem an accident.
Alright, so we finally have some
the real
Fink.
Lady Comstock. I think she's a combination of herself.
What do you mean?
I'm just so angry.
And cue ghosties again. All the screaming is overshadowing Elizabeth's very nice story. The game doesn't usually do that. It actually does a pretty good job of not overlapping. But not in this case. That's okay. It happens sometimes. But that was cool. We had Fink for a half second actually doing something within the plot of the game, even though it was, you know, all backstory, apparently. That's the frustrating part of all of this time pull stuff, is that essentially it's all just backstory that we're being clued into. Which is cute and awesome for the mystery part of this game, but not for the actual, like, playing it, and what does that mean for us as characters now, trying to get the hell out of here. But yeah, we had Fink for a hot second, who we now know is kind of being used by Comstock, but also completely in this for his own benefit, and wants to get his hands on all of what sounds like the Lutece's patents by killing them and taking them from them. But on the other hand, also, apparently we have a little bit of background in which he's used to doing this multiple ways. Oh, looks like we're leaving the area again. We had this entire area for just like that one section. I like that line, what's he charge for a pair of wings, because that would be the most valuable thing in a flying city. And then also the metaphors of angels and stuff. Pretty good.
Found some money.
Thanks, Grounger. You done good work today, kid. Alright, now to... That doesn't help. No idea where to go from here. Okay, so we're off to finally find the final tear. Why 2 arms? We could have been totally fine. You don't even know who I am.
I'm not ready.
Or you do, and that makes this even more complicated. Oh. Danger, risk of death, or serious injury. So this must be the Lutece's place.
Child's play.
Looks like it's a... They said it was scientific observatory place. It's the lab! The place could use some redecorating. Yep, this looks like magic. This is like part Stargate.
You are!
That's my mother.
I assure you, madam, my sexual interest in your dear prophet is non-existent.
Madame Lutece.
Furthermore, the man is quite sterile. It's a lie. Come and get you little bastard! I want you out of my house!
Sterile.
They weren't my parents.
Then what were you to them?
A child that they decided to imprison. I don't understand. Why would the twins send us to find 3 truths? Were the tears somehow related through a kind of quantum field, or were they...
Elizabeth, we wanted you to understand her.
Who? You mean... Oh. Huh. Alright, come on.
Lady Comstock seems to believe the child is a result of some errant act of carnality between myself and her beloved prophet. I told the poor woman the truth, that the child was a product of our little contraption, but I think she found that less believable than her delusion. Comstock seems to have been made sterile by simple exposure to our contraption. A theory. Just as sexual reproduction can de-emphasize the traits of each parent, so goes the effect of multiple realities on our own. Your traits dissipate until they become unrecognizable or cease to exist.
That sounds cool. You could have like some trans-dimensional, like, freaky-deaky monster creatures coming out of the tears. That would be kind of cool.
Just what the doctor wanted.
Monsters who have traveled the multiverse too much and become corrupted by their own curiosity or own stuff. Although then we have the Luteces, who are obviously doing that and not having a problem, unless they're also sterile, which don't think that's much of a problem for them. But we had a whole lot of story in about 2 seconds that we're gonna try to put together and sum up within a very small amount of time. But we know that not only was it impossible for Comstock to be the daddy in a very Maury Show-esque sort of way. But it means that none of these parent people are who they are, and that Elizabeth is a product of the multiverse, and kind of not much else.
He killed Lady Comstock. Tessa's.
And anyone who knew the truth was better dead than alive.
I'm not even his daughter. I'm just some...
And there's the other part.
No, you are not. Elizabeth, listen to me. What you've been through, ain't nobody in the world deserves that.
Booker.
We are getting out of here, you got it? You're never gonna have to look back.
Rosalind Lutece is not my mother. Neither are you. He killed you both. Because of me. I know you hate me for not being your daughter. And I hated you for not being my mother. Undo my suffering!
Oh, fight time. We're gonna undo your suffering. Personal act. With 6 shooters. That's also a good way to undo any suffering. Except that it's not at all. Other ways to undo suffering. Shooting spectral figures over and over with mosquito machine bots. Also dancing.
Here, ammo! You need this!
Thank you. Oh, I thought that was money. That would have been weird. Not totally sure where I'm supposed to be shooting right now, but I feel like because of how the boss fight's set up, that shooting all of these zombies over and over is kind of totally useless.
Sorry, that's all I've got.
So I'm kind of just trying to focus on the main bad ghosty, because she's like flying all over the place. There we go. You can't see her health bar, so it's kind of up in the air, but still nice.
I owe you an apology. Comstock used me to bring you back, but I brought back a version of you from the reality that I had built up in my own head. He pretended to love you, like he pretended to love me. I am not your husband's bastard. I am his victim. My days of victimhood are done. We must forgive each other. Because there's one far worse than you or I.
The Prophet killed me.
Because you wouldn't keep his secret. Without me.
If that's so, then why am I alive?
Not in this world. Maybe this is you in another. A world where you never meet him.
I saved him.
I don't know. Is that possible?
Find out, child. Find out.
Now there's a theme that got finished.
Booker.
That's how you do it.
Thank you.
Aww, so we've solved the case of unresolved motherhood. And they both accepted each other. We'll have to talk about that more in the next episode. Awesome. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Rainy Day Let's Play.